Commander Cockings and Cataphoto here, yet again for another Trekyards Mission Briefing, your weekly Wednesday piece of Trek discussion. We take a ship, one of the many ships of the Trekverse, discuss, theorise, really, maybe some ships we look at for the very first time, and somehow talk for half an hour about amazing details and theories and all this and that, and we have a lot of fun. We hope you guys like it, and I'm rambling now, Stuart. What are we looking at today?
This week, we are looking at the classic, famous, and iconic, yet not my favorite, Excelsior class, first seen in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. I actually have one, even though I'm not a huge fan of the Excelsior. I only got the little mini micro machine thing. So,
at 467 meters, this ship was the great experiment, the next big step. And compared to the 305-meter refit, it really was the next big step.
Anyway, you guys asked for it, and here she is now. We present to you the Excelsior class mission briefing. Dun, dun, dun. I mean...
Which is the first picture. Great little reference there. And just, I have both the beautiful Eagle Moss B and, well, the B's beautiful, the Excelsior's okay. Thanks to Rob Bonshun for the enhanced B. So, first picture, the classic stalling shot. Now, did you see Star Trek 3 in the cinema? I'm assuming you did.
If I did, I don't recall.
Okay, well, what was the first time you remember seeing this Excelsior, and what was your first impressions? Now, first impressions, not what you think now.
I hated it.
As in hate?
My first impression was I didn't like it.
Okay.
As in hate. I didn't.
Wow.
I don't know. I've since learned that it was designed based on like Japanese aesthetics from a Japanese like kind of corporate office kind of look.
Okay.
And I think that dates it and sets it firmly in the 80s. And I think it belongs there because it's not a great design. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people absolutely love this ship. I'm one of those people that says no. I do not like this ship very much.
That's fascinating because that's totally not at all how I feel. Wow. Cool. Okay, so okay. Well, when I don't remember when I first saw it. I'm assuming when I saw it in the movie. There you go. I mean, I was
stalking.
Dear me, this is a fun episode, isn't it? No. Yeah, I think obviously with the movie, and I remember thinking, that's interesting. Like, I think I'm pretty sure I saw the movies in order, so I didn't know if it was going to be Sulu's ship and whatever. So I think thinking, is that the next Enterprise? Because the way they sort of pitch it kind of makes sense, and it doesn't really have the same Enterprise quality to it. I don't know why. We're all biased, especially the younger people in the audience, because we have grown up with the known order of things. I mean, you can say the D doesn't really have an Enterprise quality either, because it's so radically different. I mean, whatever. But the Excelsior, for me, it has always felt like a very natural progression. It's the bigger ship. Everything's bigger, everything's bulkier, but they took a sleeker approach to the secondary hull. You can fit a lot more things. This is the truest Deep Space Explorer. I mean, the Connie, this is the Connie of its time. This is the Connie was great. We refitted it. It's more advanced, but it's not really designed for that true exploration mission again because we want bigger crews. There are more combat people out there, So let's build a bigger ship, really deck it out, and make it a match for other ships of the time. That said, the Katinga is so much smaller that it completely dwarfs them. But I mean, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's certainly kind of I mean, okay, to be fair, if someone said to you back in the 80s, build the next Federation ship that we've seen, the Reliant was a sidestep. Build the next in the style, and make it feel different and unique and iconic and not confusable. That's a hell of a challenge.
Yes, but to my eye, just the first sight of this, it's like, oh, that's nice. Moving right along. It doesn't impress me. It doesn't do anything for me. I hate the warp engines, but we're going to talk about all that little details later, which maybe should lead us into the next picture. Okay. Let's go to the next picture. This is it in dry dock. If my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a wagon. Come, Mr. Scott. Young minds, fresh ideas. Let's be tolerant. Yeah, I am very much to Mr. Scott's thinking on this ship. I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't know. It's too. Ugh. rounded and organic, and
See, that's just fascinating.
I don't know how to describe my hate. I don't know how to describe my
okay.
No,
So
not hate, dislike.
well, okay. So let's be fair about this. So because we're kind of different on this, but you're really providing an interesting perspective. So out of 10, or is it out of 100? What would you give it out of 100 in terms of your liking of the ship? So we have an idea, just a very quantifiable scale out of 100.
40.
Okay,
41.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's
I don't
under average.
Hate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't absolutely hate it, and never want to see it again. It's a cool ship, but it's just not something that I enjoy looking at per se.
So
there's better ships out there.
So it's less about you don't like the design. It's not your cup of tea, but you appreciate the design.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so that's really worth pointing out for the audience. Like, you like it, but it's not your ship.
And I think one of the reasons that I initially hated it was because I thought at the time, at the end of Star Trek 3, after the Enterprise got destroyed, that this was going to be the next Enterprise, and that just made me just like nails on a chalkboard. I was like, don't do that because I will not be happy. And I think then waiting all over the course of Star Trek, building up to Star Trek 4, and then basically the whole movie, and you're going towards the Excelsior, and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, they're going to do it. And then, yes! I think that was a real win for them to actually do that and not disappoint the people like me. I know a lot of people are disappointed that they didn't get this ship, but...
Well, I mean, we got the B, and I think the B is a cool, bulking, impressive, like... That feels more of Enterprise.
I like the B more than the Excelsior. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like them in different ways. I think the Excelsior, it's not a hero ship, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't have that same hero element that the Reefer has, that the E has, the D has. Like the C hasn't really got a hero element either. Not really. The Ambassador original prototype has a bit more, but this hasn't got that. So I think this, if Star Trek 6 was a bit more... Because I love Star Trek 6, and I don't like anything with Repenthe that much, but everything around it, seeing Sulu on his own ship, it's more advanced-ish, and it looks cool. If that had been true, like a buddy cop movie, like, so you got the Enterprise, and you got her sister ship, this bigger, different purpose, wouldn't that be cool to see them actually together a bit more? I think they work so well in tandem, like the different stylistic choices, but this is our hero ship, and this is the big brother, but it's a brother, it's not your child, it's the brother. Brother from another mother. Do you know what I mean? Would that work for you in terms of enjoyment?
Well, yes, and actually that segues very nice into the next picture. Let's just go to the next picture. And this is the brother from another dry dock. All right, so here it is now, rechristened the NCC 2000, which is the non-prototype, non-trans warp version of the Excelsior. And I think. I don't know. I think I would have been happy as a big... I am happy the way it turned out. That it was part of the fleet. It is the big sister or the big brother of the Enterprise, but not the Enterprise. Like, to make this Kirk's Enterprise, it's not the right step, and I'm glad they didn't do that. And I'm sure there were a lot of debates at the time. Don't do it, or yes, I wish the internet was around back then, because it would have been pro Excelsior, and yeah. That would have been funny to see.
That would have been funny. One thing that really screams out of this photo is the odd line of blue that's cut into the hull. I've always thought that was a very interesting design. What the hell is that? I mean, why is there this ring of blue?
I don't know. It's on the bottom of the space dock as well. It's just kind of like...
It is.
The design aesthetic for Star Trek 3. I don't know.
That's a great...
It's interesting. It adds some dimensionality to it, which is nice, but I don't know what the necessary need for it is. Maybe it's some kind of sensor array that enhances the main planetary sensor on the bottom of the saucer. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe it's the deflector grid. Yeah,
I thought that too. Yeah. Now I don't know. Do you know if the NX Excelsior had the torpedo tubes in the neck? because I know they had them in the secondary hull right above it, right up in front of the.
Yeah, they're different.
Fan.
I just skip back to previous picture. They are very much like the Ares, the submarine. Oh, actually, well, there are submarine holes either side, but no, it does have the same torpedoes in the neck. But this one,
Okay.
yeah. So what are those holes then? I mean, this isn't the best picture to show it, but what are those holes then? I mean, are they also torpedoes? I mean, we don't. Well, I don't think they are because we don't know they are, and we're pretty good ship guys. But it would make sense. Or are they maybe probe launchers? Dedicated probe launchers would be.
Maybe, yeah. Might be a great explanation for that. I always thought they were extra torpedo tubes, and it was just kind of odd that they look so different than the ones in the neck. But yeah, I like that probe launchers.
It is an exploration ship. That would make
Exactly. Yeah.
absolutely. But let's move on to the next picture. It's a clean front view. Yeah, this is a strange one. With all ships, you know, when you do this, obviously a CG model, and they take a render of it. But depending on the focal length of the lens, because you fake things in CG, it can make things look more bulbous. Like that secondary hull looks pretty bulky to me. I mean, my one was pretty much that, to be fair. But that is not the prettiest angle.
No, it's hideous. I absolutely hate it. One thing I noticed on this that I've never really noticed before, but I was wondering about, is that neck, the finning, the fin detail on the neck. You can really see it here, how it's actually fins.
Yeah.
And there's no windows in the neck. It just seems like a lot of wasted space.
Yeah, I wonder what that is for.
There's probably a reason. Somebody's going to tell us in the comments.
There's an amazing reason, but I don't know off the top of my head, and I don't know if this can separate. That's an obvious separation line. Very, very easy separation line. I mean, well, I think you could argue, you know, one of the big flaws for the Colony the Reefer is the thin neck. It's an obvious target, and we see that in Star Trek too. So why not build a next ship with a very, very big neck? And I mean, to blow through that's a hell of a thing to blow through. That's probably
and I've heard that complaint over the years that the neck is a structural weak point, that, you know, one photon there and blah blah blah.
Oh,
so this makes sense design wise.
Do you think now? Obviously, this is the NCC and the NX Excelsior. This is the NX one. Are identical almost. There's a couple of pictures later on, but 99%, right? So therefore, the carryover from the transwarp program. What do you think if the neck was built to withstand transwarp stresses?
That makes sense. You know, what would be awesome is if we had a fact files on the transwarp that we could release and have people watch, because maybe it'll answer that. But anyway, sorry.
Straight face.
That could be. It could be some kind of aspect of the transwarp design that, when they refitted it post transwarp, when it didn't work, they just kept
and just used it for space.
You think they would alter it for? You know,
but why would you necessarily? I mean, it's a big piece. I mean, this is a big ship. That's a lot of meters.
You have so many more windows to make your crew happy.
Yeah, but well, think if it's armor, you know, another 2 meters of hull armor, the designer say, I think we should remove the safe hull armor from our ship. Why? Because it's not fully needed. Oh damn, the Enterprise has got blown up with the neck. Let's keep it. You know what I mean? There's. I don't know. I think there's still a reason to keep it. What do you think about the curvature of the saucer? Because it's a much more. Well, they're shaking its head. the Enterprise obviously is a nice little rounded. This has a distinct thing and then flat. It's kind of. I don't. What do you think?
It's hideous. I absolutely hate it. I think that's one of the reasons I hate it so much. It's I know it's not supposed to be like the Enterprise, but it's kind of why it throws me off, I think. And looking at this view, I really think a bigger saucer, bulked out a little more, might compensate for that secondary hull and make it more appealing to me.
Yeah, that looks a little bit overdone to me, but that's just size. I like the fact that the saucer goes down and then goes flat. I kind of like that. It's a different way of doing the saucer and sort of thing. I mean, I don't know. It looks good. Anyway, we can talk a lot about this picture. Let's go on to the next picture. So next picture is a back view. Quite a few detailed bits here, but I don't know what springs out to you here.
Those impulse engines.
Yes, Stuart.
I get that they're much bigger than the Enterprises. but they're so narrow, and just that space underneath them feels so wasted to me. I mean, man, I don't know. I
It's
know
all
that
coming
it's
out
got
now,
that.
Stuart, isn't it? It's all coming out.
I know from the side it's got that nice curve, and it looks great from the side.
Hmm.
But from the back, that's just so much wasted space. You could have put like 2 shuttle bays in there, or who knows what else. Something cool.
I think it adds a certain elegance to it, personally. Like, so the side view looks great. I think it just makes it feel elegant. I mean, that's...
From the side, yes.
I mean, wasted space is such an odd thing to say, though. I mean, I get it, obviously, but then, by the same argument, why the hell is there even that flat? Why not make that completely... Same with the Connie. Why have a dip? There's no reason to. Design aesthetic. I mean, it's... Why have the nacelles taper off? Why not just have it completely flat? I mean, there's wasted space. I mean, it's relative, isn't it?
Yeah. Another thing I've noticed here too is underneath the shuttle bay, there's 2 round. Are they torpedoes? Are they mega phasers? Are they? What are they?
This is a difficult era because we know the Ambassador hasn't got off torpedoes, and the Galaxy having off torpedoes was a big thing. The Refit doesn't. I know some faster ships do, but take that as a sort of side, okay? And it would definitely make sense this one does. I don't know if it does. If it does, it's the first one to have it. There might be a picture later on. I mean, there is obviously natural spaces for this, but the fact that we get to see so little of the Excelsior, we really do. And taking post-Dominion War ones, I mean, obviously they're getting wiped out, but to see it do anything, it's like, well, that's a refitted, later on version. So it's difficult to say, but probably, I think that's a very safe bet. Although to have it between 2 different shuttle bay areas is like, ooh.
Yeah, that bottom part on the lower part of the secondary hull. A lot of people ask what that is. I actually asked John Hughes one day. He told me. It's in my text messaging. I can't find it because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
But it's some kind of like cargo manipulator arms and stuff. That's very complicated and crab-like in there.
Yeah, my idea was always that the shuttle bay is obviously there. That's for the shuttles to dock. But then you've got this massive cargo storage area that, you have transport ships. It's such a big ship compared to anything else that you need a lot of... We have a lot of space for cargo. You need to have a lot of supplies in it. I mean, I always thought, yeah, separate cargo bay.
It could also be where you have the plug-and-play engineering elements.
Sure.
Because the engineering section is probably like right behind that. So maybe it's
yeah,
similar to the NX-01. It's like Doug's idea where you just pull out the whole engineering room and put it in a new one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Well, a great thing to talk about for this one is the engine struts. I mean, that is so different to the Connie. What's your take on that? Because it's like there's a bit of space in between it, and it goes flat, and then it goes up, and then, I mean, it's really different.
It's too... I don't know. Generally, I kind of like the struts that do the L shape. These I didn't know had that little taper to them because... Well, yeah, I guess it's on the...
Well, you've never looked this close, have you? This is the thing about Mission Briefing. We really dissect it.
No. And like I said, if I don't have the model in front of me, like I always find a new appreciation for ships when I build the model. Because I used to hate the Ambassador class. Now it's one of my favorites. And it has those L-shaped struts. But for some reason on this one, they're just... I don't know if they're not thick enough, from the side especially, or what the situation is, but I'm not a fan. I don't have reasoning for it. I don't know if it's my childlike brain that just hated it immediately because it's not the Enterprise. Yep. I don't know.
Everyone has aesthetics. That's why we can ask celebrities, well, what do you think? Oh, I don't like it. Hey, fair enough. That's all you need. I mean, everyone has aesthetics. I think it looks interestingly different. And it works for me fine. But again, I'm used to it. You weren't brought up with this ship. You had it shown to you. I was brought up with this ship, so it is a different context. But anyway, the next picture is the Uss Hood, which is a side view. Shows the engine, shows the warp core actually in the neck, right at the bottom with the impulse crystals. So that wouldn't be as plug and play because there's a lot of stuff in between. But there is a shuttle at the bottom there, which does imply it's lots of shuttles actually.
The engineering support bay is that thing on the bottom of the lower secondary hull. So it does make sense to access or retrieve new equipment, maybe.
Oh, well.
It's also right behind the main sensor pallet. So, but that warp core in the neck that goes back to the Enterprise refit, the Enterprise A, because it goes right up to the impulse crystal, the main warp core.
This picture really does show to you how thin that back element is, you know, this section, it's actually like
Mhm.
2-3 decks. That's very thin.
That's what I was just going to say. I don't like that. I mean, you look at the top of the shuttle bay. They should have just carried that all the way up to the maybe the base of the saucer there. Just, I think that gentle curve there would improve the looks of the ship immensely. That whole bulbous thing in the middle that attaches the warp engines. It's a lot of wasted space, and why is it there?
Maybe that was added, and again, this is going well beyond what we see in the show. Maybe that was added because they thought, okay, these are the transwarp engines. Let's warp engines rather than integrate them fully into the hull, because it was such a radical departure. But then doesn't explain why they're still there or whatnot.
Yeah, it makes sense for the NX one because, yeah, experimental warp nacelles on that center part.
This one
could have been all part of the could have been all part of the transwarp unit. Just unplug the engines and that center part all in one piece. But now it does say at the back there, it's got Photon torpedo launchers, and it points to right above the engineering support bay. So there's supposedly some back in here, just above the bay.
I mean,
I don't know if you can see them on your model better, but
no. I mean, it's a decent location too. To be fair, I'll give them that. But So what are the pieces then? They are tractor beam emitters. That's what it's signaling. The little two, the circles we set at the back. The tractor beam emitters. That makes sense.
Oh, for the shuttle bay. Oh, that makes that does make sense.
Cool. Especially if you've got 2 shuttle bays. I mean, you can link them in.
And it also shows on the front there that there's those ones on the side, the submarine-like or Ares-like ones are Photon torpedo launchers.
Right. Huh.
So there's 4 of them up front. Wow. 4 Photon torpedo launchers on a Fed ship.
That's a very, very natural evolution, though. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
It is, yeah. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed part 1.
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, you know?
Good, so did I. But there's a part 2 on the way soon.
But you guessed that probably the title. But yeah, next week, guys, tune in for part 2, the conclusion of this wonderful episode.
See you then.